Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. As the credits roll, please allow me to introduce the director of the film, Loushy. I'm proud to say that Mor has been here before at the JCC with her first film, Israel Limited, and we're very happy to have you back with the new one. And to interview Mor, please welcome Nirit Anderman from Haaretz.
First of all, thank you so much for having me here. And thank you so much for believing in this film from the very beginning. So thank you really, the other Israel, everyone from the team, and thank you for coming and watching the film. Thank you so much.
Hi, everybody. Okay, so let's start. I wanted to ask you, all those recordings. Now it's okay? Yeah. Those recordings were made at 1967, right after the war. It's been 48 years. And I know that during those years, a few journalists wanted to expose those recordings and asked Avraham Shapira, the editor of the book Siach Lochamim, to let them do it, but he refused. I wanted to ask you, why did he refuse for so many years, and what was it about you that made him agree to do that?
So, of course, it's a question that I would love if Avraham Shapira was here with me to answer it. But, you know, I think that documentary film, I mean, is a platform that was more suitable to him. I mean, you know, that he knew that it's art, that it's respectable, and it wouldn't be just, you know, a news item that will pass. He understood that it's going to be a research and work of 3.5 years, and also I think, you know, it's a matter of the time that we're in. You know, I chased after Avraham Shapira for about 6 or 7 months until he answered my phone, and when he answered it, he told me, "Listen, forget about it. So many people approached to me. Forget about it. I don't want to give it to anyone. They're so intimate, and they're so honest conversations that I feel so much responsibility for those conversations that, you know, that I can't do it." But I told him okay, and then I saw that he has a lecture in Jerusalem University, and I stalked him. And then I told him, "Hi, you know, I'm the girl that is keep calling you," and he saw me and he told me, I think I was pregnant also with my first child. And he told me, "Okay, come to my kibbutz and let's talk about it." And I came, and when I came out, you know, of this meeting, he already gave me the reels, and I told him, you know, listen, we're in such a crucial times in Israel. And I feel, even though it was before I heard, you know, the testimonies, I only read the book, I told him, I feel that these voices are not only the voices of the past, but that they're voices of my present and our future in Israel. And these voices must be heard. And I'm so lucky that he agreed, because really it was a treasure to have 200 hours of testimonies into my hands. It was a real treasure to deal with.
And listening to the tapes for the first time, how did it make you feel, and what did you think about it, and what did you think about the relevance of the things that are said to the state of the country of Israel these days?
Yeah, of course. You know, when I first heard those voices, and of course, when I hear it, you know, I know already what's the present, and there's 48 years between those voices and me hearing them. And and I said to myself, I can't believe that they spoke this way, and I didn't know about it. I didn't heard about it. I know Leibovich, but they were much later. It's much later. It was in the 70s. I mean, I didn't know that these voices were existing. And it was just, and for me, I think that this is the heart of the film. How they predicted the future, how they thought, that Israel is going to be, if we stay in the territories. I think that their dynamics in the battlefield, and what they saw and what they felt, of dealing with a civilian, occupied civilians. I think that they knew back then that it's going to be a disaster. And to hear them talking about it, and also to hear the conversations, it was I think in a pre-media era. I don't think that they knew, what exactly is going to happen with these voices, and the conversations were so honest that really, like, I remember listening to these voices and can't believe that I'm actually hearing this.
So I think now we'll open it to the people in the crowd. If anyone wants to ask something, more Loushy, the director.
The visuals, the historical film, is certainly not point by point the same as the spoken word. How did you choose those historical films? Because they add a depth of emotion and feeling that is a very substantial part of the passion in the film.
So, actually, like, all of the archive part is of course a crucial part of making this film. When we went out to make this film, and I got the conversations, the testimonies, so I knew that I want to do a film, and to give these voices as much respect, as I can. I knew that I don't want to make a film with the historians explaining or outside figures. I knew that I want to do a film that will respect these voices. And I knew right from the beginning that I want to do it with visual from the 6-Day War. And the 6-Day War, of course, was a short war. Yeah, it's a 6-day war. The Israeli television wasn't even existing at that time. It began at 1968. So we didn't know what footage we're going to find and if we're going to have enough footage. And I think that we've been through 30 or 40 archives around the world to find these materials. And to find the language of the film, of how to connect the visuals and the voices. It was of course one of the main thing of our work, to find the language. On the one hand, not to do it, one by one, like voice and story, that you can still imagine what you see, and to give it, an emotional side. And I think that because the archive we found was so rare, and many of these footage, also you see them for the very first time. We found in back rooms of archives, on film, on 16 millimeter, on 35 millimeter. So I think that because of the footage, that we found, it also gave it another step.
Now, in tracking down the men that were interviewed, how hard or how many were still alive? How hard was it to find them? And how many cooperated or didn't want to cooperate? And then why did you decide to have them not speak, but just hear their voices, even on the newer material, and just look at them without them actually speaking directly?
So all the conversation, all the testimonies were anonymous, yeah, also in the book. So it was quite hard to find the people. I only had the name of the kibbutz, the real, and then lists written by hand. You know, Avraham Shapira really saved everything. So I had his list from '67, and I started looking for the people, and I started looking for them actually after we already had the first cut of the film, and then I started making calls, and then suddenly I'm like, oh my God, I know who you are. I know your voice from '67. So it was quite a detective work, and it succeeded. And everyone that we approached to really wanted to cooperate with us, because it's not only for me that I didn't hear these voices for the past 48 years. It's also for them. It was the first time that they also heard their voice, so they were very interested of hearing what they said, and some remembered everything, some didn't remember anything, so it was a very emotional experience for me and for them. And of course, there's a few characters that are speaking that died on the '73 Yom Kippur War, and also after. And my decision of them not speaking again, it's the same. It's because of the same issue that I said before, that I wanted to give the voices as much respect as I could, because I think that's what's special in these materials, that these are materials of that are a week, 2 weeks after the war. It's not a nostalgic film. It's not people that are speaking 48 years after of their memory. No, it's not a romantic, nostalgic film about war. I had such a treasure that that I didn't want that today will come in. But I wanted a connection between the present and the past. And I did wanted to have, an emotional, that you'll connect to the face. And the mimics and the way that they reacted, for me, it was more, it was more than words.
We learned that this was recently uncensored. Is the movie being shown in Israel? Is it being distributed?
Yes, actually, we had for a documentary film quite successful distribution. It was in the theater, and for a documentary film, it's not a usual thing to be in the cinemas in Israel, and we had a lot of articles written about us, and a lot of people came to see the film.
You got PR help from Eli Ben-Dahan as well.
Yes, of course. But Eli Ben-Dahan is deputy minister of the security office. Of course, he never saw the film, yeah, but he said that it's a dangerous film. But he never sat and actually saw the film. But yeah, so a lot of people came on the one hand, but of course it's a big, dissonance to the general atmosphere in Israel, which is not easy these days, to say the least.
Folks, we want to continue the conversation, and I know that there is a lot of questions, but there's also some cake that's getting cold or something upstairs. More, first of all, before I forget.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I do want to say a few words that that I think that we're in a situation in Israel where it's. I'm looking. I think, and this is for me. This is the message of the film. That I'm looking for a different future. I choose to raise my family in Israel. I choose to live in Israel, and I'm really looking for a different reality. you know, a reality that will end this bloody circle. And I think that, you know, it's obligatory to criticize and to be political today. I think it's a must.
Thank you, Nori. If you want more of More, she will also be part of a panel on Saturday afternoon on censorship in Israel. And Nirit will also be leading a few more panels here at the festival. These discussions need to continue, and we'll be continuing them all week and right now upstairs in a less formal way. So thank you all for being a part.